Inhale.
I was thinking about going the full Mike and the Mad Dog from back in the day, where Mad Dog would just goes, "Afternoon, everybody." But
That's a very Robin Williams in
Good Morning
Good Morning
Vietnam.
Vietnam.
Yeah,
Good Morning Vietnam. Yeah, but it's like way longer than that.
yeah. So I was thinking about it, but what it is, what it is.
It is what it is.
Yep. And then okay,
So
I have my
we
Facebook
have
chat. Yes.
nice. I can't. Oh, there we go. This actually works this week. Last week I couldn't see if there was anyone live on our live stream on the back end, but now I can see.
Yep.
So people are starting to come in. Thank you guys so much for joining us again. I am Gregson. That is Chad. And Chad is here again this week. You had me last week and my stupid face for about an hour and a half. So apologies if you were here last week and wanted to see Chad because it was just me. But Chad's back is feeling way better. Welcome back, Chad. How are you feeling this week, man?
Better, better than I was last week. Still, my back feels like a tangled slinky. So,
all good.
uh,
But I'm glad you are back. And last week we had actually we had an awesome show without you. I know you were on chatting with chat, so that was cool. We had two new people subscribe to our subscriber group, which is awesome. So awesome. So I wanted to shout you guys out, which is Christopher and Justin. Justin just logged on and he said, "What's up, guys? What's up, Justin? Thanks for joining again this week. Your topic's coming next week, so be sure to check out Shift Squad. If you don't know what that is, it is our private Facebook group for subscribers only, where we get to talk to you guys and we get to basically get you involved in the stream more. And you guys get to pitch topics. So one of our topics this week is going to be from one of our new subscribers, Christopher. So stay tuned for that. And we also have some really other cool stuff planned for this stream. We got a couple of interesting things that happened this week, including a huge launch of a brand new car for enthusiasts. So stay tuned for that. It is the new 2024 S650 Mustang. So that's going to be a huge topic. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Christopher's topic, which is 80s muscle cars. And we also have another actually it's 80s American muscle cars. And we have another American. Actually, this whole broadcast is going to be all about American cars. I just realized. So we got Mustang. We got a debate about 80s American muscle cars, and we also have the Chrysler 300 going out with a bang with the, I believe, Scat Pack engine, which puts out 485 horsepower. But they didn't put a Hellcat engine in it, and we now know why. So, with that said, I think we should kind of get started. Jake, the answer to your question is no, we are not.
that's where we'll leave it with that.
Yes, correct.
So, first things first, we have, as a free preview...
What's up, Steve? I see you there. Welcome back. Appreciate you chiming in and coming back on the stream. Julio, thank you for joining. And Todd, also thank you for joining. And thank you guys for joining the chat. Chad, take it away with this wonderful car that was just unveiled.
So as everybody knows, this is what you're looking at. This is the brand new 2024 Ford Mustang. This one's particularly convertible and looks like a Camaro from this angle, but we'll get to that in a second. Basically updated interior, updated bodywork, chassis tweaks, all the stuff, but it's effectively an S550 underneath that's just been thoroughly reworked, but it's effectively that base platform, so it's not 100% a new car. There's some good things about it, there's some bad things about it. First and foremost, not a big fan of the grille. I think it's entirely too large. It takes up way too much of the front of the car. The front quarter panels, like Nick Knight said, it's very Camaro-esque. I don't know if that's probably by accident because the Camaro is number 3 in sales. But at any rate, good news, we get a Coyote.
Probably by accident.
Good news is we keep the Coyote. There's not an electric motor at the driving any of the wheels. 6-speed manual box is still an option. And they've actually launched a new performance variant, which I'll get to in a second. But I'll put my thoughts in kind of a quick, like the 30-second review of this car, right? It's going to be awesome to drive because this Mustang platform is awesome to drive. How do I know? I own one. I don't know why I got aggressive there. I apologize.
Unnecessary aggression from the Mustang owner.
Where's a crowd?
Crowd control.
Which is what I want my vanity plate to say, by the way.
Please, yes.
So it's going to be great to drive. The interior on these things is genuinely awesome given the price point that this is going to occupy. So there's a lot of good going for it. I don't like the exterior, like I mentioned, but here's the bottom line. This is a V8, naturally aspirated, even though boosted V8s are still awesome. Rear-wheel drive, manual gearbox. It's literally everything we tell auto manufacturers to make, and it's another one. This thing was clouded with rumors of all-wheel drive, hybridization, electrification, and the debut car has literally none of it. So even though I'm not a big fan of the way it looks, I am a huge fan of the fact that it exists, especially today.
Yeah.
I think
I agree. It's Ford's only car. They might as well make, in the U.S. it's literally Ford's only car. So they might as well make it enthusiast based because that's who's gonna buy this.
Right, and it isn't. I mean, let's be real. There is no need in the market for this. Like logically speaking,
No.
that's why we're just in an avalanche of, we're in an avalanche of crossovers and things like that. But it's a Mustang. The Mustang was the first car I ever loved, so much so that I went out and bought one and modified it. And hopefully soon, I'm actually going to be doing some research this week. Hopefully soon, it's at least going to get some minor surgery to rectify the clutch issues and start getting the driveline ready for boost. But real quick, before we dive into Greg's thoughts on this, we have a couple comments on this. Nick Knight, he's here to say that the 24 Stang is hideous. Cool Camaro, bro. I do, again, kind of agree with that. Steve is not a fan. It's like they stole the car design from a game. Cyberpunk. Wow, they managed to get Cyberpunk to work. And we all know how that game rated.
Epic shade at Cyberpunk, which is,
Charlie.
It's granted.
Yeah. Charlie, what's up? You're a little late to the party. We're a little late to the party tonight. So hang out, have some fun. Let's talk. Here's a good question for you, Greg. Asked by Jake. Why do you think the horsepower numbers advertised are crank and not wheel horsepower?
My guess is because that they either dyno tested in factory and they probably just do it from the engine at the crank of the engine as opposed to just having a wheel dyno set up because it's more efficient that way in the factory. I don't really know. That's my guess.
I think you're right.
Honestly, not sure.
I think a lot of it is okay. So not so much for the Coyote, but for pretty much every other engine, that engine goes in multiple different things, right? So are you going to chassis dyno it every single time it goes into a new vehicle? Or are you just going to engine dyno it because you have an engine dyno? You do. You develop the engine on them. You're just going to advertise what it made in a controlled environment where they can control the humidity, air density, all of that stuff. So it's literally, it made X amount of horsepower in this environment. Every single one is going to be, quote unquote, true to those environmental factors. A turbo 4-cylinder will go in the small let's just say the EcoBoost, right? It goes in the Mustang, goes in a crossover, goes in bigger SUVs, things like that. And it just makes more sense to dyno it once, even though the engines are a little different. But you can do those little differences on an engine stand way easier than bringing out a whole new car.
My other thought on that is it's also a higher number than a wheel dyno. And outside of enthusiasts, no one really knows what that means, honestly. Like, if you ask a common car commuter, what's the difference between crank horsepower and wheel horsepower? No one's going to know what the hell you're talking about. So I think that I'm a marketer by trade. I'm putting on my marketer hat. It's probably so they can say the higher number as well. So it's partially like, our new Mustang makes 600 horsepower as opposed to 490 at the wheels. So it's probably
right. I mean, at some point,
nicer and cooler to the those that are not enthusiasts.
At some point, some marketeer advertised that number, and yeah, it's simple, right? My car makes this much horsepower in this condition, as opposed to saying it makes less. Some people pay attention to that. It's like, wait a minute, it gets worse gas mileage and worse horsepower, even though like the wheel horsepower could be close to a competitor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I fully agree. Like I believe there's marketing. I believe there's R&D stuff into it, and less wear on components. Like you don't have to bring out a transmission and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Justin comments on the Mustang. The grille is on the larger side. Very much so, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was BMW's thing to have huge grills. Apparently, people don't read the internet and think, oh, well, if BMW's doing it, let's all do it. No, stop.
It's for BMWs and also Paul Wall,
I have no idea who Paul Wall is.
He's a rapper from the South that has massive grills.
Okay.
Like actual grills.
But
for me, I think on the Mustang, I'm actually a fan of it. I was not at first. I slept on it, gave it a few days, I looked at it again. I like how it looks. Definitely some Camaro vibes in there, not gonna lie. I really like how the back end is designed here. How there's that like sort of triangular kink in the back. I think it's a really interesting design feature, and I think that I saw that on the Hyundai Elantra N and liked that first. I just think it's something unique and different that companies are doing with back ends. I think it's a really nice design element. I also like the front end. This is going to seem weird, and of course, the Volvo is going to come into play. But you see where right here in the video, where the two sort of nostrils are towards the outside of the car,
mm-hmm.
and then those little up pieces that are diagonally sort of up.
Yep.
If you look at the brand new V60, the SPA V60 from 2018 forward, they have that same sort of diagonal upward piece, and I think the V60 is one of the best looking cars ever made. Honestly, it is beautiful, it is really well done, and I really like the front end of this car from the lights down. From the lights up, it's a little bit of a different story.
There's a lot of quarter panel going on there.
There's a lot of quarter panel. The lights are they're slung a little too low for me. I think the light cluster is nice. I'm liking the triple light in the front to sort of mimic the triple light in the tail light. I'm a big fan of that. However, the hood is a little wonky for me. The grille is definitely way too big, I feel. And I like that they've made a Mustang WRX with the hood scoop. It's really interesting.
All right, so that's.
I mean, overall design aesthetic, I'm a fan. There's a couple things that I'm not a huge fan of, but it's better than I thought it would be. Honestly, given the renderings we saw, given all of the hype around it, and I especially love the performance variant, which we should definitely talk about next. But your reaction to what I said.
So, I mean, for so many reasons, you're right. And so many reasons you're... So, first of all, let's start from the splitter up. Those little supports, if you want to call them that, those little fins there.
Yeah.
That's an aesthetic straight out of the... That's an aesthetic straight out of the current Mustang, right? The current S550 has that. I think I agree with you with the headlights. I think if they were a little taller and kind of swooped into the body a little bit, as opposed to like looking like someone literally was like, all right, we designed the body. There's the headlights.
Yeah. They did like the same thing that Jaguar did with the F-Type, where they had a really nice headlight aesthetic, and then they just made it really short and like squinty a little bit, and it's just not. I just don't like. I'm not a fan.
So, I mean, the hood vents I like, because even going back to 2015 with my Mustang, the Mustang has had functional heat extractors in the hood. And that's exactly what these are. I believe so. I haven't gotten a chance to look at it, but it was in the 2015 to 2017. They were on the 2018 to current model. I have to imagine this is the same thing. It's a heat extractor, or it's somewhere for since this one's more centralized, It
Yeah.
probably has something to do with getting the hot air away from the inside of the engine and away from the radiator and things like that. I just
Right.
that front end just looks like, oh my gosh, we designed this whole thing. It looks exactly like the one we're currently making. Quick, make it different. Like that's the
Yeah.
part that's eating at me. That's the part that's
Yeah.
really eating at me because
Well,
I don't think it's a bad looking car. I just think it looks like it's designed for design's sake. Like almost like how it's not nearly in any way, shape, or form in the same league as the Civic Type R, but it's a car that just looks designed for design's sake, which I think the original,
sure.
or well, not the original, but the first Civic Type R that we got over here in the States, it just
Mm,
looks forced design. Now, that being said,
sure.
yes, Drake, I do agree that at least it makes legitimate noises. And then here's the other thing, right? When you start to black everything out and everything starts to blend together, and that grill sort of gets lost in the Dark Horse, now we're talking about something. This is
Right.
so you can get this in multiple guises. It has like a street version, it has a track version, and it has a. You seriously want to go on the track version with things like a SCCA certified roll cage. I think that's the S model. A roll cage, beefier everything. This is like, hey, this is the performance package on steroids, right? So my car came with bigger
Yeah.
brakes. It comes with the Tremec 6-speed manual gearbox instead of the MT82, which is significantly stronger. And
Way
and
better.
I've seen some images floating around. This thing has a pretty special version of the Coyote. It has basically it's using the same connecting rods, basically the same type of designs connecting rods that they use in the GT500. So think stupid strong. It also has it also, from pictures I've seen, has twin throttle bodies, which again helps it make it breathe. And they're targeting 500 horsepower with this car, which I think is on the low side of things because this engine's going to have 12-to-1 compression. They're already getting 460, 480 out of the Gen 3 Coyote. They threw a bunch of other goodies at this one. I think 500 with ease. I think this engine could make close to 550 without even breaking a sweat. I mean, let me put it to you this way:
Yeah.
the engine in my Mustang, which has less compression, older version of the Coyote, is making 500 at the crank. So you put all that goodness in, but I mean, I think it's really cool to come out with a new sort of classic Mustang, like a new performance variant, a new hey, look at this thing. Like we have a fast one at launch, not a Mustang GT performance package. Then a couple years down the road, the 350. Then a couple years down the road, the 500 to continuously reinvigorate the brand. So that gives me hopes that we're going to end up with like a 650 horsepower 350 and GT 500 that will just.
Yeah. Who even knows? I saw a rumor today that we're gonna get a GT500 variant of this in 2026, which makes sense. You have the Mustang launch for 2024 or 2023. You have a GT350 a year and a half later, and then a year and a half after that, you get the GT500. So 2026, 3 years down the road, is about that tracks pretty much with the S550 facelift. It was facelifted what in 2018
hmm
or 2017, and then you got your GT500 in 2020. So that pretty much tracks with their usual timing. So, I mean, it's gonna be pretty gnarly. The performance pack, this Dark Horse pack, I really like that. It looks awesome. I would buy that 100%. Looks great. 500 horsepower. I mean, definitely is gonna be a boost missile because with upgraded connecting rods, with the Coyote engine in general, it's just a good platform, especially for tweaking, tuning, throwing a supercharger at it, throwing twin turbos at it, and I think it's going to be a really good car and a really good platform to sort of up level before we get those special models.
Oh, 100%. It's. I just like the fact that you have three versions of the Mustang now, and you have. Let me put it to you this way: owning a 500 horsepower Mustang is a glorious thing. I have one. It's awesome. They sound epic.
Chat speaks from experience.
Yes. Not recent experience, since stupid clutches. But
Yeah.
it's everything you need for the street. I mean, it's probably a little too much power for the street, but that's a good thing, right? It gives you that, oh, okay, we're good, everything's good, we're good.
Yeah.
It gives you that sort of pucker moment. Not that you should be living at that moment, but it gives you that, I don't even know what the best way to describe it, but it gives you that feeling.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, 500 horsepower for the street is, I mean, you can't. That's probably about as perfect a number as you can get, no matter what the weight of the car. Honestly, I mean, even 500 horsepower on like a 4 or 5,000 pound car, it's still gonna get up and go. And for most people, it's gonna be enough.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Most people, most people.
So real quick, just touching on a few more comments. Charlie Middleton, the number one thing I absolutely hate about the new Mustang is the TV for a gauge cluster. I kind of agree with you, but if you don't like it, it has Fox body mode, where your gauge cluster looks legitimately like a Fox body gauge cluster. So it has various historical nods and things like that.
Yes.
Jake asks what.
The fact that you can put a Fox body.
It's so cool, and it looks really good too.
Gauge clusters.
It doesn't. It's digital. You know it's digital, but it's not like at quick glance. It doesn't beat you over the head with it, which I think is pretty cool.
Because it's because of the lighting, and I figured this out after I looked at it. Is because you know how in older cars you had those lights that kind of came down into like the black cluster because you didn't have these digital gauges where it's all like perfectly lit and whatever. It's because they were smart enough to realize if you look at the image, the lighting is coming from the top and it has a gradient down to where it's even darker at the bottom. And I'm like, that's the coolest design element. I love that. I think it's so good, and it's dope. Like that's the only way I would run that. I would run that cluster if I owned that car. I would never have a digital dash ever because you have the whole freaking center console as a digital.
Yeah, it's huge.
Fox body mode.
Yeah. So Jake asks, what gen is the Coyote in mine? I have a Gen 2. The differences between the Gen 1 and the Gen 2 is minimal. A lot of it's software tuning and a couple odds and ends here and there, but no major like crazy changes. The Gen 3 got a different intake manifold, a whole mess of other stuff, but most notably higher compression. That's why the Gen 3s with headers, exhaust, tune, you could push 500 crank. Like it's crazy. That compression is huge, and it's one of the most, and this is going to be nerdy, but as far as converting potential energy from the fuel into actual energy at the crank, the Gen 3 Coyote is one of the most efficient engines ever. Like more efficient than a V12 or a Ferrari engine. Like it is a crazy piece of engineering, which boggles the mind and things like that.
I think Engineering Explained did a really good video on why the Coyote is a more interesting motor than like a V12 Lambo or something. I think that's the one you're referencing.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Like,
yeah, that's a really great video. If y'all haven't seen it, go to Engineering Explained. Actually, just go to YouTube and search Engineering Explained Coyote versus V12, and that should pop up as like the first thing, if not one of the first couple. It's a great video, and it's what Chad is talking about. It's really, really well done, and it just showcases that the Coyote is like the new LS in a sense. Like, it's so versatile. You can put it in a lot, and it's just a really impressive piece of engineering.
I would actually push back on that statement. I know you were being nice to the Mustang there, and I appreciate you for that. But
it's big. It's still big. I know where you're going.
I would push back against the fact that it's a quote, the new LS, just for the simple fact that it's Chevy guys, get your sharpen your torches and light your pitchforks. But I would push back against the fact because it's so much more than an LS. Like, look at case in point.
Oh yeah.
You put the Coyote and the equivalent LS up against each other. The LS is 6.2 liters, revs to like 65-ish 100 RPM. Mustang makes the same power, revs to 7,500 RPM. Like, I know it's push rod, low end torque versus double overhead cam, high end power and stuff like that. Multi port. Yes, I mean.
Hi, Christian. I know that's what Chad was laughing at.
I was also laughing at Jacob Wilkins. We need more multi-port fuel injected cars, and that's what the Gen 3 is. It's direct and regular fuel injection. So like you can boost those, and you just upgrade the fuel pump, and it has enough fuel, which is insane to me. But
yeah, that's crazy.
But it's just, I mean, look, the LS is a great engine for what it is. Like, you can shoehorn an LS in way more places than you can a Coyote, just because the Coyote is huge from a physical, like, literally, if you were to dunk both engines in water and watched how much it raised, i.e. displacement, but not, like, engine displacement. At any rate, the footprint of the Coyote is so much bigger than the LS, which is why LSs go everywhere. Like, I recently had an idea that I was like, you know what? I think I want to LS swap an i8 at some point. Like, I think that would be awesome and such a troll car, and I love it.
That would be cool.
I
think that'd be cool. Coyote and a Miata. I don't think that they would even shoehorn that in there yet. I mean, they did fit a Hellcat in a Miata.
Still a pushrod V8.
A lot of engineering, so I'm sure it'll happen at some point, but who knows?
The Coyote's a wide bitch. Thick with 3 C's.
Yeah, it is. So to wrap up this convo, I think that the new one is good, has lots of potential. Opinions are kind of out on aesthetics. Regardless of the aesthetics, it's gonna be a great platform. I think the best way to look at this is if you're looking at it from an aesthetics point of view and you're like still on the fence about it, just look at it as an S550 second facelift, and then it becomes a lot more palatable, where it is different than the outgoing model, but if you look at it sort of from that lens, you're like, oh, okay, I kind of see where they came from a little bit, at least for me. So I really like it. I think it's good, and I'm excited to see where they go with it, and I hope that I can maybe buy a performance model, down the line.
Yes, it's a V8 rear-wheel drive manual enthusiast-based car. Let's embrace those because they're just real quick, couple more in chat. Charlie says they put a V12 in a Miata. Of course they did. Where there's a will away, there's a way.
They put a V12 in a GR WRX hatchback. They'll put V12s in anything.
V12 the world.
That's right.
Justin has a brilliant idea, and I think it's something we should consider for you immediately. And that's put a Coyote in a Polestar. It'll happen. I mean, Volvo was a Ford company, or it was owned by Ford. I'm just saying, it's kind of linear.
If someone wants to do the R&D and put it in there for me, free of charge, I'm in, man. Let's make it happen. But I ain't paying for that.
You lack vision.
It's got a Ford engine in there already.
Oh, it was the Toyota, the one something R1. In any rate, I want to play with that V12.
It's one from the Toyota Crown.
Yes, and I want to play with that V12 because I've heard one with 12 individual throttle bodies, and that needs to go in something like ASAP.
Change of pants.
Absolutely. I need money.
Yes.
So, Greg, I think you can take this one off. I will preface this one with, this next segment is brought to you by one of you, our supporters.
Yeah, that's true, exactly. So we have a supporter group. It's called Shift Squad, and basically, I'm going to drop the link in the chat right now to it. So basically, if you click that link, or utilize that link, you can go to a private Facebook group that we have for shifting lanes. Now, it does cost money. It's like, I think $5 a month, but all that money goes directly back into these streams. We save it for project cars, and we basically, put it towards making shifting lanes better to make more content for you guys. It doesn't go into our pockets. It goes right back into the business. Basically, if you go there and you want to become a part of that private Facebook group, you can then get topics going. And what we're doing is we have a couple of ideas to get you guys more engaged and get you guys more involved in the stream, as well as our builds and our other stuff that we do on YouTube and anywhere else. But the first thing was a guy named Christopher. He was on last week. He was a legend, and he became a supporter along with Justin, who you can see at the bottom of your screen there, latest supporter, Justin Broman. And Justin's topic will be next week, but we posed it in there. What did Christopher want us to talk about? So, Christopher, thank you so much for this topic. It was basically, he wanted us to debate 80s cars or 80s American muscle cars or 80s American cars. So, with that said, we pulled together a bunch of images of 80s American cars, and that's what you're looking at right now.
So I thought it would be,
which are all pretty cool. And Chad, why don't you talk about which ones you picked?
all right. So instead of doing what Greg just asked, I propose this. Why don't we play a game and we talk about? I'll put a picture of an 80s American car, even though the first one isn't really technically American, but it has an American badge. Shut up.
This is already starting well.
But I'm just gonna put something up, and you're gonna say yay or nay. Would you have it? Would you drive it? If not, sure. What would you do to learn how to drive it? Or not learn how to drive it, but basically, the game is this. I'm gonna put up a car up. You're gonna say as it sits, yay or nay. Then you're gonna say, sure. If it had X, Y, and Z, that would turn it to a yes. And then lastly, real quick, you're going to tell us if you had this car today, what you would do with it.
Okay.
So, first one up is the Dodge Conquest, which some of our more international viewers will recognize as a Mitsubishi Starion.
Starion, yeah.
But I figured this would be a cool one to kind
of... One of my Volvo buddies has one of these. They're pretty cool cars.
Zooming in. I thought this would be kind of a cool place to start because it eases Greg into the 80s of American cars, which he's not a fan of, which is why I devised this wonderful game.
Yes, I'm not a huge fan of 80s cars in general, honestly. I think the 80s was just a void of angles and not really great design. On the whole, there are some exceptions with, a lot of European brands had really cool cars, but on the whole, I just am not a huge 80s car fan. That's just aesthetics, and that's just my opinion. So whatever. But this one's actually very cool. I do like this car because it doesn't scream 80s, but it's very 80s. So I don't know if that made sense, but this is probably one of the cars that if I had to choose something from the 80s, this is probably one of the ones that I would own.
We start and as Christian so astutely points out, pop-up headlights.
Yes. Pop-up headlights are cool, but they also came in the 90s, which has most betterest. 90s have better design than the 80s. Full stop.
Unpopular opinion. Pop-up headlights are overrated.
Yeah, that's definitely an unpopular opinion.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to get into that right now. That'll be a Car Guys debate topic down the road, but we can go from there. So, I mean, this is basically a Mitsubishi Starion, the predecessor to kind of like the DSM cars that grew a ton of fame. I think they're cool as hell.
What is it? It's a Dodge, what was it called?
Conquest.
Thank you.
I think I triggered Christian.
All I could think in my head was Dodge Stealth, and I'm like, no.
But this is that same DSM sort of partnership when Mitsubishi and Chrysler started sharing products. So this is one of the first. The Stealth and the 3000 GT were another one. The DSMs, the Eclipse, the Laser, the Eagle. Yeah. Those were all basically just shared. So basically, the first car right out of the gate you take as is, because you like the lack of 80s-ness to it, apart from the box fenders.
I think it's a solid design. Honestly, the ratio is good. Both overhangs are good. The wheels aren't insanely 80s, and there are some really 80s wheels coming up. I know there are. And I don't know. It's just a really nice piece of design. I really love the glass hatch in these things. It's a very nice. This reminds me a lot of a 944, and I'm a big
it has
fan
the same body. The 944.
So that's probably why I like this so much, is because this doesn't really look like a traditionally American 80s car. But that's probably why it has a lot of 944 to it. I like the front valence; it's cool. And again, yeah, pop-up headlights, like it. So love this one. I would take it as is.
Fantastic. So our next contender is, I mean, you love them. You'll take them as it sits. Let's just move on. This is 80s perfection right here.
I don't like Fox body Mustangs.
Why?
I don't know. They don't do anything for me.
What about a notchback? Come on. That's pretty clean.
Even worse. I don't like notchbacks. I don't like 80s Mustangs at all. I don't, for the most part, like any Mustang from the 90s either. They're cool in their own right. I can't get over that rear triangular window that's almost the same size as the front window. It's just crazy. I mean, look, credit where credit's due. Fox body Mustangs are legendary. They're boxy. They're interesting. I just don't like them. They don't do anything for me. I've never liked them. Even when Matt Farah did, which was like admittedly a incredibly sick build. He had a Fox body. He wide bodied the fenders. He had just a crazy build on his Fox body Mustang, and I'm just like, meh. I don't know. I for the money, I'd rather have so many more other things.
So what if we, I don't know, put a Cobra R IRS in the back, Coyote up front, 6-speed manual? Now you're driving it, right?
Probably not. Honestly, like so I'm very much an aesthetics person, and I've come to realize this over doing shifting lanes for the last 5-6 years. I don't really like cars that I don't think are good looking, and I don't think the Fox body is particularly good looking. It's fine, but that's all I can say about it. I wouldn't own one ever, and I would much rather just take everything you just described and put it in something else.
Okay. T-tops, 100%. Does it get more 80s, gloriously 80s and 90s than that? Well, Greg, I have good news because this is not the last Fox body you will see today.
Great. So excited. Can't wait.
Next up on the list, one of the lesser-known Shelbys.
Yeah, what is this? This is a Dodge Shelby?
This is a Shelby Charger. Where is it? This is a Shelby Charger Go Like Hell S. It's turbocharged 4-cylinder. Actually, hopefully this winter.
So the Thunder Cougar Falconbird. Got it.
Pretty much. It is ugly, but one of the cool.
But I like how you're already trying to justify this to me.
But one of the cool things is that hopefully this winter, we get around. I have a pretty interesting build I want to feature that I'm not doing, but someone I know is on this body style. So we're just gonna say this is as 80s as 80s get. Chrome.
Yep.
Nice. And it's intercooled. Intercooled.
Cool. The only thing cool about this car is that it says Shelby on the side. That is it. Nothing else about this car is cool.
And the name, come on, Go Like Hell. That's like quite literally one of Shelby's most famous things.
Yeah, but the fact that they called that as part of the car, it reminds me of that scene from PCU, the movie where Gutter is wearing the shirt of the band that he's going to see, and Jeremy Piven is like, "You're wearing your shirt of the band you're going to see. Gutter, don't be that guy." It's like, that literally makes me think of this. It's just like, but that's so 80s. That's an 80s thing to do. That's why Dodge is bringing it back now. It's because it's all the nostalgia thing. It's like, oh, Hellcat and all this nonsense.
Yes, because of all the Hellcats that were in the 80s.
No, like they're doing all this like nomenclature that's like very, I don't know, like that Americana nostalgia, and it's like
you're talking about a company that burst onto the muscle car scene with cars that were sublime, plum crazy, starburst. Like it's what they do.
Go Like Hell in a car name, it's just stupid. I don't like it.
All right, well,
burn this thing.
All right, so we know what we're buying Greg for Christmas.
A shirt with this car on it.
No, this car.
No, thank you.
And we're gonna we're gonna hide the Polestar.
No, thank you.
I
You
can
choose
hear the
anything
retro
else.
keyboard music already. Duh. Synth wave for the win, dude. Nick disagrees with you. He says all turbo Dodges from the 80s are sweet, especially the 5-speed Caravans. That took a turn. That took a turn I wasn't expecting.
I would rather have a 5-speed Caravan than this car.
Next up, the legend. The Grand National, the Buick Grand National, or GNX. Basically a Buick that was faster in the quarter mile and made more power than the Corvette of the day. Think about that today.
Yep.
What if Buick made a car faster faster than a Corvette? Like,
But they don't.
well, maybe that's why they're only
they
popular
did.
in China.
They did with this, but now they don't. I'd love it if they took the Regal Tour X and threw like a V8 in it and then just sent it. That'd be sweet. But that's something that Australia does, not America anymore, apparently. So I'm sort of on the same page as the Fox Body with this thing. These kind of didn't really do much for me. I like these a lot better than the Fox Body, gotta be honest. These are a better looking car. They're cooler because it's a Buick, and by modern standards, like you said, a Buick that does anything cool is just cool in nature. I would much rather have this than a Fox Body, but I wouldn't go out of my way to buy this. The only way I would probably have one is if it's heavily modified, maybe wide-bodied, and engine swapped. I get that the Turbo 6 was fast for its day, and I get that that's like part of the legendary stuff, but like this body style and what I'm looking at right now screams V8. I wish it had like a big ass V8 in it.
What if it had a twin turbo Nissan GTR engine?
That would also be very cool.
Someone's done that to one of these, by the way.
Really?
Yes.
That's pretty sick. That's pretty sick.
Well, it's a good thing you like
I
the
would have
V6 in this, or I'm sorry, dislike the V6 in it, because once again, this is not the last time. So engine swap, what are we going with?
Right.
5-cylinder?
No, I would have a V8 in this. I think it needs a V8, honestly, because I mean, look at it. It screams, I have a V8 inside of my hood.
Well, then you just get the
Make V8
Monte Carlo SS, which looks broadly.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, true. But I think this is cool. It's a cool car. I would probably own it if it was modified in certain ways.
Okay, we're making progress, Fudge. Now, I want you to get your mullets ready, because apparently I couldn't find anything that resembled a high-res photo of these.
Yes, burn it, move on. Next car.
There we go. Basically
throw it in the compactor, move on.
Third gen Camaro. Arguably the third best looking, fourth, the second worst looking car, Camaro, apart from the second gen. And then the what is it, the fifth gen Camaros aged really poorly, the Bumblebee ones.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on, man, that just screams America in the 80s. You could almost hear the mulleted bald eagle drinking Pabst, like, just come on. No? Okay.
So fun story about these cars. Back in the early 90s when I was just a wee lad, I used to love watching racing with my dad, and we would always watch like NASCAR races, right? And right after the NASCAR race, there was the IROC, which you can see it on there, IROC Z, which stood for International Race of Champions.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to love watching those because it was all the same car, and it was all racing drivers from all over. And it wasn't just like NASCAR drivers. There were a couple NASCAR drivers, but there were people from like, IndyCar.
NHRA.
There was NHRA drivers. There were like sprint cars champions in there. I think there was a couple of Formula One. I think Jackie Stewart did it a couple of times. I think there were, but it was cool because they had drivers from all these different like disciplines, like racing in these cars, which I thought was really cool. But this car is not cool. This car is just kind of stupid. And if I was gonna have this car, I wouldn't. I would immediately sell it and put my money into something else, probably just a savings account. I would rather just have a savings account than this car.
Christian, I think, or I'm sorry, Justin Broman probably summed it up the best with sad 305 noises.
That's great. Also true. Yep.
But I think these
Sad
things are
305
ripe
trombone.
for resto modding. Put a modern day LS
Yeah, I
in,
bet
modern
you.
drivetrain.
I bet you. Yeah, I bet you this with like a really nice body kit, full on resto mod, better wheels, fully redone interior would look pretty cool. But I don't know, if you're spending money on something like that, I would again literally have so many other things to resto mod.
Hoonigan did a
And
really
it's-
cool build with one of these. They put that 1,000 horsepower, 10.3 liter V8 crate motor in one. With a
Oh,
lot
that's
of the
cool.
body work with a lot of the things you were just saying. Christian says my wife loves
cool.
these, and we've had 3, each of which have been stolen.
Oh,
Well, now you know it
definitely
wasn't
have
by
one now.
Greg.
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely not me stealing that for sure.
Okay, and I promised
God,
you.
what is this?
I promised you a second Fox body, and this one also tickles your European roots a little bit. Because
I sort of know where
this
you're going, but I
is
don't remember.
a ASC McLaren Mercury Capri, which is based on the
That's
Fox platform.
Yep. Same thing. Not a fan.
But it has McLaren on the side of it, and it's probably the only one you can afford.
Yes. Still doesn't make me want it.
Alright.
A name doesn't make me want a car. A car makes you want a car.
But you've been just naming Volvos for the last 3 cars of yours.
Yes, I like
4
Volvos,
cars,
and
actually
they're good.
4 Volvos, including
Yes.
the crossover. So I don't.
Yep.
Here's a hot take. I actually like the front end on this a lot.
Yeah, it's way better than the Fox body front ends. Honestly, I love the quad headlights. The front end of this reminds me a lot of actually the Volvo 850. Not necessarily in like overall design, but you have like the grille and the lights, a plastic divider bar, and then a lower valence. I just like that 3-tiered design. I think it's a really nice design because the 850s had something very similar where they had the grille and the lights, the plastic divider in the middle, sort of like the plastic bumper, and then a lower valence. I just like that triple aesthetic. I think it's a really nice looking front end. The rest of it, not a fan.
So what you just
It
did
doesn't
was
work
take
in
a
fields.
Mustang modified by Mercury, then further modified by McLaren, and compared it to a Volvo. I like everything comes back to Volvo to you.
I
And
mean, yeah, I'm just a Volvo fan. What can I say?
and then yes, Justin, those wheels are orange. And that's
Yes, they
that.
are. They're very orange.
So here's another one for you. Another one where
Oh, hey, look, another Camaro. Oh, wait, no.
oh God, you're gonna piss off third gen fans.
Yep, I know.
Personally, I think these look better. This is obviously
Yes,
a
they do.
Trans Am. However, this is linked to another car we were talking about earlier that I promised to come back from. And that, given the fact that in the 80s, the biggest problem was insurance laws and basically fuel regulations from the 70s had neutered V8s. So you either had to have like a massive engine to baby squeak by with 300, 250 horsepower, 300 horsepower, or you could just slap a turbo on it. And that's what this is. So it's not a turbo V8. This has the powertrain from the GNX, and it is a V6 twin turbocharged turbo Trans Am.
Interesting. I did not know that existed.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Still don't want it.
But I think to a lot of our fans here, if you look at the design aesthetic on this, and you really look at the front end, I think you see a lot of Volvo 790 in here.
Nice try. That car doesn't exist. No, I like this car much better than the Camaro. This the proportions are and whatever, but it's a nicer aesthetic to me. I like the front end design better. Wheels are cooler. Definitely a lot bigger wheel arch that could accommodate a bigger wheel. It's cooler, definitely, because it has that GNX drivetrain in it. Um, and I mean, this one's a pace car, so that just makes it cool in general. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I would say probably the same thing uh, as what's the one that I said I would have it but modified, the GNX. I would probably do the same thing here. I would have this, but I would need to modify it the way I wanted to. I would probably just again slap a nice V8 in there, Coyote LS, something modern. T56 transmission. Rebuild the rear end, and just have a nice, cool burnout car. just okay. Send it. Be able to send it wherever I want.
All right, so don't modify these because they're unicorns.
Yes,
but
I would want to modify it if I was buying.
And Justin begins, and don't forget,
yes,
pop-up headlights.
Pop-up headlights. That's right.
I have one last car from the 80s. If I could find where I saved the picture. Shown folder.
Is it a Volvo?
I don't know. I've never really seen one of these. I heard rumors.
Don't know.
I've heard rumors that they existed, and I heard rumors of like.
It is the Thunder Cougar Falcon version.
I have actually heard rumors of us potentially maybe having a slightly modified version of this, but I don't know, man. But this is straight out of the 1980s. Let me know your thoughts.
Oh no, what to show me. Today I went on the internet and I found this. So, fun fact, this car is actually made from the 70s. Just very different looking. This is beautiful. The car is absolute perfection. It is the greatest car of all time.
I would have to heavily modify a unicorn Trans Am, but this is perfection. Even though you're modifying one.
No, I would modify these. Like 240s are cool, and all original ones that haven't been absolutely beat to crap because that's what they were. They're supposed to be commuter cars. Totally pristine versions of this are cool, just because credit where credit's due. Any of the cars you showed me that are pristine, that have like low mileage and were kept well over the years and weren't beat to crap or thrown into a barn and forgotten about, that's cool because they're like time capsules in that respect. So I think that's neat. These modified are awesome. You put bigger wheels on it, you can chuck different engines in them. This is actually a really good platform for modification because they made almost 3 million of these. I think they made 2.8 million from 1974 to 1993 or 94, whenever the run ended for these. And there's just lots you can do with them. So I think they're just cool cars for modifying. But yeah, I mean, as is, the 240 is like, it's fine. But modified ones are cool. Like, I wouldn't have an original. I would have a modified one. So much aerodynamics. Yes, didn't you know the A in Volvo is for aerodynamics?
Oh God, you really made that joke, didn't you?
That's a meme. I think we've put it on our page before.
I know we have. I'm not. Expand. There we go. Expand.
No. So Justin said, "Wait a second. Didn't you say you didn't like 80s cars because they were squares and lines?" No, I said I didn't like 80s cars because they were very angular. I like boxy design. Boxy design is cool if it's done appropriately. And Volvo sort of had that nailed with a lot of their designs. I like a lot of old boxy wagons just because I like wagons too. But I don't know, some of like the 80s coupes and sports cars, they're just very angular. I'm not a huge fan of it. Some of the swoopy designs in the 80s were really good. When we were talking about this before the stream, Chad made a good point about was it the Ferrari 308 or the Ferrari 288, which is just like
288 GTO
pinnacle of like automotive. One of the pinnacles of automotive design is like the Ferrari 288. It's just
GTO.
Obscenely gorgeous as a car. Now that's angular in a way that is very different to anything we've just looked at. So to me, that is like pure, beautiful 80s aesthetic. I think I mentioned it before, 944, great looking car. 80s 911s are great. A lot of 80s Ferraris are pretty good. 80s Lambos are interesting. I had a Countach on my wall as a kid, but I never really, like, really lusted after it. I would probably say the 288 is way better looking than any Countach. Oh, this is cool. I've seen this actually. This is like the re-rendering of the 244 or the 240 sedan. I think the designer of this did a really nice job. Back end looks great.
I think he's been looking at too many Rolls Royces.
It does look very Rolls Royce in a certain way, but I think this is
From
a
a
really
certain
nice,
point of view.
really nice re-render. What's that?
I mean, from a certain point of view.
Yes, from a certain point of view.
Star Wars joke.
Yeah, I would buy this instantly if they redid it, but that's never gonna happen.
Oh, come on, you couldn't see them just hitting the stretch button and making this into a crossover?
Yeah, that'd be cool. This is a wagon rendered. I bet it would look sick. Yeah, honestly.
But all right. So
next topic, and with that, I'm gonna get more juice.
Okay. So while Greg is away, anybody would like to say anything, mean, condescending? No, I'm kidding.
Hey! I can still hear you.
Apparently, Greg can still hear me. So fire away, chat. I'm just kidding. I'm getting sidetracked here. So, here we go. So, actually, while we're waiting, let's go through some comments here. Justin says the F40 has pop-up headlights, so that means they're awesome. Duh. You're really going to make me get into this tonight, and I don't, because I want to dedicate a whole segment to this. But yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. You should tune in next week. Christian asks, in our podcast, we talked about why people don't like electric cars and how much more people would love them if they used these renderings in their electric designs. That goes back to a lot of what we've been talking about. We've actually been, we've said it multiple times here that we love the idea of the electric car kind of allowing for a sort of retro design wave. We saw that with the Hyundai. You saw that a little bit in a couple other renderings and stuff. But I mean, electric cars have a blank canvas. You can literally put any body you want on a skateboard. Like, this is all you need. Well, sort of. And then you put the body of what you want on top of it. So, I mean, I see that being the really, once electric cars become kind of ubiquitous and everywhere and and overtake their gas counterparts. I'm not saying that's going to happen soon, but I do see in the next few years legitimate like coach building becoming like that ultimate flex. Because like, what are you going to flex with? You're not going to flex with the engine size. Like, I have twice as many kilowatt hours as you do in my battery pack. No. My motor is brushless. Like, all this little stuff. The flex is going to be redesigning the bodywork. And I think there's going to be a big market because, again, they're skateboards. Obviously, the unibody construction adds certain things and stuff, but I think if you can get them certified or you can, quote unquote, call it a kit car, I think that's going to be a cue. That's going to kind of be it. Christian, again, I think Chevy kind of figured that out with the electric Hummer. I mean, I'll say this about electric trucks. They're pandering to the people who don't use trucks as trucks. Because if you try to tow stuff with an electric vehicle, your range goes zoop. But they're cool. I like it. I think it'd be really cool to have like an electric off-roader that, maybe you just let sit out for 3 days and it can drive again. At any rate. But before we dive too deep into our next topic, I'm going to, let's see here. How do I trigger Greg. What doesn't he like? Chat, help.
You. I don't like you. Just sit there and I'm triggered. It's fine.
Okay, well then you're going to enjoy the next part of this broadcast because I got to go let my dog out. So let's do this. Justin's talking about your favorite topic, synthetic fuel. Go.
Oh, geez. Hi. So it's me only. Hello. Hi, I'm Greg. What's going on? Justin says, I've looked into the synthetic fuel options since you guys talked about it a couple weeks ago, and basically it looks like it'll be methanol once it's made. That would be cool. I mean, if we can figure out how to make cars run on that, that would be great. Jokes. Yeah, I mean, look, I think synthetic fuel would be a really cool thing to bring to mass market, but I'm not sure if that's going to be really a thing because it's so early in its development, and I just don't know anything past what we know in the media. Like, none of us are in the R&D sector here, so I'm excited because it could be really cool, and it could be something that cars eventually run on only. But if it's going to be only meth, that's, I mean, what's meth do now? It makes cars, it improves cooling and makes cars go faster. So unless it can be a true just fuel to make ICEs run, I'm not sure if that's going to be a realistic, viable option moving forward. Christian, get him to give me his number. No, you're not getting my number. He doesn't like 80s cars. You're right, I don't like 80s cars. That is a thing. There are certain 80s cars I like, but not a lot of them. But yeah, so let's get back to you guys. What do you guys have going on? Most of you that are commenting right now are subscribers, which is awesome. Justin, Christian, I see Alan, who's been on a bunch of streams. Thank you, Alan, for joining back in. But we have our subscriber group. I know a lot of you guys are in there already. I'll actually drop the link one more time just in case anyone is interested. It's $5 a month. And Chad had a really cool idea that I think you guys will like. And Chad DM me, wink, wink, creepy. What we want to do is we're going to do topics that you guys want in that group. We're also going to just talk to you in general. We're also going to put in that group things that we're going to be doing in the future with our builds. So you guys will be the first to know when we do things. Maybe even you could choose a car that we buy in the future and make a build with. I think that'll be really neat. But also, we'd love to have maybe you guys come on stream with us. I think that would be kind of neat, but only for subscribers. So maybe we do like a 15 to 20 minute segment of bringing you on. We do a car guys debate with you, our subscribers in that group, which is, just another incentive to go opt into that group and, help us grow the channel, because we can have you guys on and just continue the conversation, which I think would be really cool. So if you guys are in that or interested in that, let us hear it. Let me hear it in chat. I would really like to hear your opinion on it. We also want to reach out and see what you guys want to help grow this stream. We only have like 9 people on Facebook right now, but we have a main YouTube channel with almost 80,000 subscribers. We have a second YouTube channel which you see, stream highlights from this stream on, and then we also do like our vlogs and project builds there as well. So what else do you guys kind of want to see on this stream? Do you want us to stream on YouTube more too, and just do generally what else do you guys want to see? Because we want to engage you more and do things that you guys want to see. I think that would be really cool. Let's see. What do you guys have? Just finished putting a new one-piece rear bumper filter on the Grand National. Nice. But that's about it. Nothing crazy. And then Justin also suggests like a walk around the garage and see what everyone is working on. I'm completely down for that. That's a great idea. I think that would be really cool. But I think, again, we keep it to like the subscriber page, because if we did it for everyone that comes on here, then we have 97 comments, most of which are from just a couple people. But it's you know, it would be way too many people. So I think keeping it to the subscriber page would be great. I keep going, Alan. I keep going to subscribe to your YouTube channel, but Honda videos are my kryptonite. Hey man, that's fine. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is totally free. But you know, we're trying to grow more of a subscribed community here on Facebook as well. And yeah, I think that would be cool. So Chad, I pitched it out there to potentially have people on stream from our subscriber group, and Justin seems to be down. And he had a really good idea, maybe a walk around of subscribers' garages and see what everyone is working on.
Absolutely.
I think that's a really cool idea.
I mean, absolutely. I am 100% down. You know, pitch ideas to us within reason, right? Like, if you want to sit here and show us what you're working on, kind of do a tour. There's just a couple things in there that you that just keep in mind, right? The garage, you're broadcasting it over the internet. So anything you don't want seen, make sure it's that. 2, make sure you have a strong Wi-Fi connection, because we do this probably over like, you know, Skype and things of that nature and things like that. But the general crux it is, I absolutely want to see what everybody's working on. I want to get there. So I was talking with, oh gosh, I apologize. I'm terrible at remembering names. But there's Christopher. He's working on an 80's Trans Am, and that's where our 80's topics came from. And he's got a built small block pushing 400 horsepower and stuff in that. That's crazy. And I was talking to him about I was talking back and forth with him about the car, and I learned very quickly I was in over my head as far as, because I have a big knowledge base on the cars I've owned. I have a big knowledge base in the cars I've like researched as far as wanting to own in the future, dream cars, all this other stuff. You know, those cars, while they're awesome, and I love that people are passionate about it, I just don't have that knowledge base. So like me sitting here and telling you, I mean, he sent me a spec of his cam. Like that's how crazy in depth, but I don't know enough about that engine, that platform to really do it justice. So like, I want to know what you guys are working on, and I want to go into it. I basically think of it as like almost like a virtual car show where we feature one car a week or something like that. You know, and I love that idea, because the whole point of this stream was to reach out and connect with you guys, because we have cool cars, but I'm sure there's people in chat who are tired of hearing about the Mustang, or tired of hearing about the Volvo, or want to see unique builds, or even just passionate builds. And you guys have a ton of awesome stuff like that. So the simplest and easiest thing to do is just go down, subscribe, pitch us something as far as what we're going to go, like what we're going to look at, what we're gonna go through there. Make sure you have like the network to back it up, because the worst thing is we get all excited, you tell all your friends that you're gonna be on stream, and you know, Mr. Internet, just, you know, your Wi-Fi isn't strong outside and or something. So just do some testing, do some that, and like I'd love to see it. I want to see it. Like I think you guys, everybody has their own niche and their own level of creativity and their own. That's why I love modifying cars, because you could give Greg and I the same exact car, the same exact budget, and I guarantee you we're going to do it differently. And I think that's one of the coolest things about car culture is that we could both be passionate about the same thing, but do it differently. And it still would be awesome. And even though mine would be awesomer than Greg's, Greg's would still be worth looking at. We have to do this. Like we need like $60,000 stat.
I know we need some car company to come sponsor us and be like, here you go, here's lots of money, and we'll just be like, yes, let's do this.
I mean, I have no doubt in my mind we can do a better car trek right now as we are. There, I said it. Come at me, Freddie.
I mean, I don't know.
Ed, I'm looking at you.
Budget, man. They have a lot of budget.
Well, okay. Hey, car gurus. Auto Tempest is over here doing this. What's up? What's up? Like, come at. Yeah. I promise you we will be every bit, if not more entertaining, because, well, we don't have Hoovy.
And the grudge continues.
I don't hold them. Christian says your 2-hour wheel change was cool streaming while you actually work on stuff. That's something we kind of try to want to get into. I want to get eventually, once the Stang gets all the performance stuff, the front bumper, the roof, the side skirts, the livery. Yeah, I want to get back to a car that that is of a power level that, or of an expense level that if I do something wrong, that's why I like working on the Volvo. It's a $5,000 car that I'm not saying they're disposable, and I'm not trying to say anything about the C30, but it was cool because like I could go out and get another $5,000 car before I can go out and get another. Well, I bought the Mustang at 25. They're worth like 38 to 40 now in the mileage spec that I have. You know, not the spec where the clutch is in shambles. In any rate, I digress. I'd love to get into that. Or like Greg and I just collab on a project, right? Like I think it'd be cool to see us like come here and say, okay, we bought this car. Here's how I want to modify it. Here's how Greg wants to modify it. And then you cast the deciding vote or something like that. Like there's so many cool things, but we kind of went off on a tangent here. My biggest thing is that if you guys are working on cool stuff, I want to see it. We will feature it. And I want to kind of do something cool with it. Like, you know, if you have pictures, if you have this, and then this way you have like almost like a documentation of your build on YouTube that you could say, hey, look at, you know, my car's over here. Check it out. You know, this is what these guys said about it, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think that's a really cool idea because let's face it, YouTubing cars and builds is insanely time consuming. And I totally get why people don't want to do that. Enter us. We will gladly help you get your car featured to literally tens of possibly thousands of like-minded individuals. But all right, we're gonna move on. We're keeping the Stars and Stripes theme going, even if the car we're about to talk about is a 20-year-old Mercedes at its core.
Isn't it like a 30-year-old Mercedes at this point?
It's early 2000s.
It's that 2002, 2005 E-Class platform, right?
Yep. So what we're going to talk about now, and hold on one second, let me just...
Welcome back, Steve.
And breathe, Steve is back. Welcome. We love you.
Oh, thank God, Steve.
So what we're going to talk about is, oddly enough, a car that's been making news and headlines of late is the Chrysler 300C. Or, to put it another way, the Charger that went to college.
Pretty much, yeah.
They're basically the same platform, different body. They actually share some body components. So a couple cool things about the Chrysler 300. They offered one with a 6.4 liter, 400 some odd horsepower, just awesome muscle luxury vehicle. But there's a noticeable absence of Hellcat powertrain, and you would think it'd be, you know, a no-brainer. Greg, would you happen to know why? Chat, do you know why?
Sort of, I think. So I don't know if anyone kind of knows, but like they had a hot 300 a while ago. They had an SRT 8 version of it, which had, you know, a bigger V8, more horsepower and stuff like that. But after that, they kind of just like went away from it, and this was just their like normal Chrysler sedan that, you know, didn't really have anything crazy to it. But since internal combustion is kind of going the way of the dinosaur at, you know, Dodge, Chrysler, and everything, they decided to give this a really cool engine. But like Chad said, they don't have a Hellcat to put in it, and I think it's because they literally don't have any Hellcat engines.
Yes, and according to an article from Autoblog, that is exactly the reason. Literally, Dodge has made all the Hellcats and found homes for all of the Hellcats, and yet
all the Hellcats.
But as a sort of parting gift, the 300C still gets a 6.4 liter, 485 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds, and a quarter mile of 12.4. To put that another way, this thing is faster than a 2015 Gen 2 Coyote powered Mustang in the quarter mile and 0 to 60. Like, it is a serious performance machine.
That's
It just
badass.
doesn't have the whiny boy on top of it.
Which honestly, you can put the whiny boy on top.
Yes.
Honestly, I mean, you can slap a supercharger on this, and basically you got a Hellcat at that point. So, I know it's not the same, but you could. I mean, you put a supercharger on it, you get another 200 horses out of it. Hey, well, there's 650, 680, whatever. You're good, and you just need a new hood essentially, because that ain't fitting without a new hood, guaranteed.
You'd be surprised with the low profile superchargers they offer now.
Okay, well, either way,
But I mean,
you can slap a big screwy boy on top, and you're good.
real quick, I just wanted to touch on a couple of things. We have some concerning comments in chat. Steve says, it's fascinating. You didn't hear about any Hellcat medals spinning out into crowds. Ha! Hilarious. Google it. I'm sure there's several. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, I don't need to Google it. I've seen it. There are.
I get where you're coming from.
People can't.
Mustang is the famous one for it, but it's almost like if you put 500 plus horsepower in the hands of someone who can't handle it, bad things are going to happen. In this case, it's the Indian, not the Arrow. Just saying.
Right. Yeah.
And then Alan's back. He subscribed. He didn't get sucked into a Honda vortex. Welcome back. We're actually talking about a Honda-powered Chrysler 300. No, we're not.
No, we're not.
but here's the thing, right? The craziest thing about this car, even though it's not a Hellcat, even though it's not like, 485 horsepower is a lot, but in the Chrysler garage, that's like, middle of the road. These things sold out. Literally every last one of them sold out 12 hours after you could order them. Like, just gone.
That does not surprise me because, because Mopar. But, it's going to be a special edition car, and those that have the money are going to buy a bunch of these and stock them away and just not drive them at all. And that's sad, because this is like the final hurrah for internal combustion for a lot of car companies and a lot of cars, and this is one of them. And it looks cool, from this angle that we're looking at right now. It's very Cadillac in a way with the vertical tail lights, and I've always been a fan of this. I think it's Gen 2 or 3 of the 300.
I've always liked that.
It looks good.
I've always liked the look of them.
It looks good. Yeah, I mean, it looks nice. This is a grill that's big, but it's not too big. The overall aesthetic is pretty good. The interior is very dated. You can definitely tell it's a Chrysler product that was designed in like the late 2000s for sure. However, outside it looks great. The color on this car is really fantastic. And with the big V8 engine, I'm not surprised it sold out in 12 hours. That's a good looking car right there, right from that angle. Looks great.
Yeah, and again, it's a V8. It's rear-wheel drive. We're not to belabor the point, but we're not going to see, especially from Chrysler or Stellantis, whatever crap they want to call themselves these days. Basically, with the French running the show,
here's the interior. Goo!
With the French running the show, you're not going to see this from Mopar anymore. So these cars should be heralded, and then maybe another company says, "Hey, they're not going to do that anymore, but they sold out in 12 hours. Why don't we do that?" Because, like you said last week, because like Mercedes said last week, as long as there's a market for V8s, somebody's going to make one. And there's always a market for V8s. It just...
Yeah, for sure.
The way it is.
100%.
So, again, when these cars come out, okay, it's fun and poke fun at that the interior is a little on the, we'll just say, older side. The Uconnect looks like it was from 10 years ago. I'm looking at a picture on my monitor here.
Yep.
but like the
100%.
exterior actually looks really, really good. I've always been a fan of the way these things have looked. Okay, so no manual option. We're not going to be able to really beg and choose too much you know what I mean? Like we're going to have to take our V8s as we get them. But I love the black accents. I love just the concept of it. It's like, well, if the French are making us stop making V8s, let's celebrate it. And that's kind of where we are at with Mopar. And I like it. I personally, I dig the hell out of it. This would be a great little family cruiser. You know, I'm sure it's comfortable as hell on road trips. So
yeah, oh for sure. I mean, no doubt. I'm sure there's like some suspension tweaking just because it's like a special model and it's got a bigger engine. So I haven't looked into the specs of it yet, but I'm sure it's a bit stiffer because they want to make it a little bit more performance. So they probably up the spring rates and stuff. But this is guaranteed to be a mile muncher on the highway. I guarantee it's going to be comfortable for long road trips and what have you. I mean, every Dodge product is, and they're all powerful as hell. So, I mean, I think it's great. I wish we had more of these.
So anyway, Steve misses his Davey Allison Thunderbird. Hell yeah.
Davey Allison, rest in peace. My favorite NASCAR driver of that era before he died, unfortunately. He was very good.
And then Alan, he's like, a guy is swapping a K in a Ferrari on YouTube. So I've seen that build. I love that build. I kind of want to recreate that with a different.
What Ferrari is that? Is that 308?
I believe it's
I want to say it's a 308 with a wide body.
I'm pretty sure it's a Magnum Ferrari with a wide body.
Which is, the Magnum I think is a 308, which is the same one my dad had for a while. But he did. My dad took an absolute bath on that car. I think he bought it at $42,000, and then it was right when the market tanked, and he ended up selling it for $21,000. And I'm like, ooh, that's unfortunate. And then if he would have held on to it, it would probably be worth like $250,000 now. Brutal.
Yeah, well, I mean, and he would have probably been able to take all the smog off devices off of it. Yeah, it started life as, so in case you were wondering.
It's cool. I've seen it. It's yellow, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to get a full screen.
Roll the YouTube clip. Do it. Praise Dale, raise hell. Hell yeah, brother.
We're just going to do this.
Is it what I told you to do?
No. Because it's going to be a YouTube video and not like the actual picture
Alan
of the car.
Confirmed. It's an 81308 GT GT pounds. It's a GTIB, GTLB. I don't know. 308 GT. I don't know what it is. Yes, that's the image that I thought.
I love
that looks
this
sick.
Look. As Christian would say, LS swap it.
Yeah.
No, I love this build. I love the I love the fact that they were like, yeah, hey, Ferrari purists.
Yeah. Man, that wide body and those wheels on that car look so freaking good.
Oh, yeah, very much so. Yes.
So good. I mean, look at that.
Oh,
that is so sick.
That is 10 out of 10 would 100% do that to that car.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 would bang.
Yes.
Wayne's World.
Justin Broman says Coyote swap it. I mean, I don't think a more intelligent comment has ever been made in the history of our stream.
Love to see a mid-engine Coyote swap. If someone has that kind of mechanical prowess, please show it to me. I will watch every second of that build series.
I mean, not for nothing. I mean, if it fits between the strut towers, it's not much. It's not deeper or longer than an LS.
Christian, shut up, Justin.
Oh my gosh.
Steve has a good question. Which vehicle do you miss the most owning through the years?
So,
Chad?
car I've sold that I miss. Well, let's just go through my car history. The first Ford Focus that met an untimely end, no. The second one that I did a shit ton of work to and actually did one of my first ever burnouts directly in front of Greg with. Nostalgic value, not so much. Part of me wants to say the M3 just so I could put a Coyote in it and not have to worry about Vanos. But that car brought so much pain that there's nothing about owning it that I regret. Oh, jeez. There's the old.
I'd say your IS.
Yeah, there was. It would have to be the IS because I was just the other day. I was thinking about how great would it be to have a 500 horsepower NA 1UZ V8 in there because anyone who has heard a 1UZ scream at full chat, they're one of the best sounding V8s out there, especially from that era. Manual box, and just that car did it all. It had a gauge cluster from the future. It's timeless, elegant. Nobody has done a better gauge cluster, in my opinion, than the IS300 manual gauge cluster. The automatic one gets a little funky when you start seeing like Park Drive, I Hate Life, I think is what the automatics say. I don't remember. I haven't driven one in a while. Like, it's just that car I wanted so badly to... And it's funny. That was I regret owning it for a couple reasons. One, I had really wanted to make that car unique in what I wanted. Two, I regret it because it gained traction roughly 3 months after I sold it on YouTube, and it's probably of the non-Volvos on the main channel, it probably got the most views. So like keeping that from like a nostalgic perspective, it was the first car I ever bought with my own money too. There's nostalgia. There's so much to do to it. I'd have a plan to do it. Those cars that was just such a cool car. And I believe it or not, I miss it more than an E46 M3. So, and that's why like my goal to it was to crush the 46 M3. But yeah, that's probably it. For you, I know it's probably that 2-door or 4-cylinder Honda Accord. But
that's hilarious, and it's wrong-diddy. And that's not a word. It's a word I just made up, but it's wrong.
Deal with it, internet.
Actually, what the F is the internet? No, my answer will probably both surprise you and not surprise you at the same time. Because you're probably going to think that I'm going to say my V70R, but it's not. It is definitely 100% my Aston Martin V8 Vantage that I had and sold. Well, yeah, but I thought it was going to surprise you. It's like, what? Not the V70R? V70R is still my favorite car I've ever owned because it just sounded cool, it was interesting, is unique. But, I own an Aston Martin. Like, that's just like a cool thing to be able to say. And, I ended up selling that because I was having a kid and I needed more room. Or I was actually having a second kid, my youngest, Wes, and we needed more room. So sold that. And I sold my WRX because I had the V70R at the time, and the V70R had more room. So why would I need a hatchback and a wagon at the same time? So I sold the WRX, sold the Aston Martin, and literally just bought a XC90 free and clear, which was awesome. And that's still in my garage. And, it set my family up very nicely, but that unequivocally is the car I miss the most because it sounded amazing. It had a cool history because Tavares owned it. Doug DeMuro owned it. It was just an interesting car in that respect. It was like a YouTube whore in a way, but it's just a cool car, and it was beautiful, and it was, it's a hand-built, exotic British V8 car that is in my opinion, one of the best designed cars ever. And that mid-2000s Aston Martin design was very much in that
Oh, it's
same
the
era
best.
of like everything was designed well. The DB9, gorgeous. The V Advantage, gorgeous. The Vanquish, gorgeous. Like all those Aston Martins were just staggeringly beautiful, especially when you got into like the upper echelon of those cars, like V12 Vantage S with like the little body tweaks. Insane. The DBS, one of the best looking cars of all time. Um, the updated Vanquish when they did like the 2014 plus variant, in my opinion, the most beautiful car ever made. It's Aston Martin from like 2006 to like 2018. I don't know of a car company in the modern era that had a better run of beautiful cars. Honestly, just it was just like it was designed sort of like euphoria in a way. So having a car that was part of that era, like it's called, I think the Gaydon era, because I believe Gaydon, because I think that was like Fox body is to Mustang. I think Gaydon is to Aston Martin. Like, it was like that
Well, it was owned
sort
by
of
Ford at that
nomenclature.
point, so duh, Ford just doesn't screw up.
Exactly, but yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
like
But that car unequivocally is the one I missed the most, just because it was like it's just gorgeous and it sounded phenomenal.
that's the car I regret you selling the most because actually I had some
Yeah,
I had some I did have some time in that car, like an extended road test. I had it for a few weeks,
yeah.
and it wasn't the most powerful thing. If it made 400 horsepower, that was the top. The AJ engine is sounded amazing. It was a great engine, even if you can't really, you got to be careful with them. It was just the exterior of that car looked perfect. The transmission felt perfect. The X pipe with resonator delete sounded perfect. It was just an incredible car, and like you didn't need to go fast to get a sense that you were in something special.
Mhm.
You know, it's one thing to have like a cool car that you modified that's stupid fast, and you're like, "Ah, I could take that dude over there, and he spent 5 times as much on his car. This is awesome." In the Aston Martin, sitting
Yeah.
still at a traffic light, texting my friend, I felt special. And that was one of the really cool things about that car. I really, really wish that they were still relatively reasonably priced, because I would love to get one as a project. I would, of course, much to Christian's chagrin and Justin's euphoria, I would coyote swap one because I mean I think 500 plus horsepower in one of those things with a significantly superior engine would be amazing. I mean I know they and Christian, in the interest of fairness, they've LS swapped them, and like it's just such a beautiful car that like you would think taking the engine out would be sacrilege, but I think it has the exact opposite. You put an engine as special as the exterior looks, and I don't think I'd need another car. Well, I'd need something for winter, but as far as fun, that would be it.
Doug DeMuro proved that you don't need another car for winter. He put studded tires on that. You can get winter tires for it. Nokian will make them, and you're fine. You only need that car.
Yes, I also, New Jersey winters kill cars, especially
Naturally.
low slung. I mean, we're talking about a British sports car here. That thing rusts if it looks at the salt. So,
Actually, the whole thing was aluminum. It wouldn't rust at all, actually.
it still oxidizes.
Shh,
Aluminum
just make it
happen.
happen.
Also,
Aluminum rust. That doesn't exist.
I'm loving the beef here between Christian and Justin.
Yes, this is great. Um, I did answer it just to get really quick. Steve's question. Wait, you don't own the V70R anymore? No, I actually sold that about a year and a half ago. It was a long time ago. I had a Volvo V70R that we built up, as well as a supercharged E90 M3 that I purchased to be another car on the channel. And it just didn't make a lot of sense to have a V70R, which is a great platform, very cool car, not the most reliable thing on earth. Not that that car was unreliable, it only left me stranded once, and it's because a coolant hose blew. Um, and it was literally a quarter mile from my house, so I just parked it and walked to my house. And then the E90 M3 was just, I mean, it's a high-strung supercharged BMW V8, also not the most reliable thing on earth. So I needed something that was going to be a bit more reliable. Ended up selling both of them and getting the V60 Polestar, and then the pandemic happened. So yeah, cool. It was craziness the last 2 years with cars as well as life. So hoping to get more interesting things and cool stuff on the channel soon, with more Volvos, more builds, and maybe even some cool other cars that we own. So, but yeah, I missed the V70R for sure, but I missed the V Advantage more, just because it's a much more special car for sure.
Yeah, hopefully, if hopefully the next few months, guys, as like stuff outdoors stops becoming, basically as the golf season comes to an end, is what I'm trying to say here. When my time starts to free up, you're gonna see a pretty good series on all of the parts I have for the Mustang, which is extensive and taller than Greg.
Accurate.
You know, hopefully in that time frame, parts get installed. Because the Mustang, the Mustang is without question, I think, and Greg, I think you'll agree with me, the most mechanically intense build we've done on this on our channel.
Oh, for sure. Considering just the volume of parts. I would only say that the V70R rivals it because they did crack open the engine down to the cylinder heads, and like redo like the head, you know, do that and that kind of stuff. But like on a parts volume basis, I'd say that's probably bigger.
I mean, I think parts wise, I mean, because you ended up, it's not like, so I'm adding a supercharger to an NA with all the piping, the intercooler, all that other stuff. You kind of did the same thing with a new turbo, new intercooler, all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But like where I think the Mustang gets really cool is the fact that we're going to have a carbon fiber drive shaft. We're going to have axles that can handle 1,500 horsepower. We're going to have a transmission that the only Ford part of it is the case. You know, all the way down to the fact that it's not even going to have the stock spline count as the factory transmission. So that's going to be an amazing car that I'm hoping to have ready either for a trip down south this winter or the spring, because that thing is going to be an absolute missile. Greg added horsepower to the Polestar. It's dangerously close to the Mustang's best quarter mile now, and it's idiot proof to launch. This isn't me mocking Greg as my usual form. So I just want to be like, all right, I'm going to ease off the line and just be a silver streak in Greg's window. Steve, I'm glad my Jeep lived most of its life in South Carolina. Yeah, New Jersey winters are no joke, and the Farmer's Almanac says we're in for a bad one. Yay! Steve, I mean, I don't know if you were here for the part where we're talking about streaming with some of our supporters on Facebook, but yeah, man, DM us for details. But basically, we're gonna start reaching out to our supporters if they're working on interesting, cool stuff. We'll have them on live stream on one of the live streams, and have them show off their car, what they're doing to it, what's unique about it, what's fun about it, all that other sort of stuff.
Yep. And you need to be in our supporters group, so I want to make that clear. Like, you need to be part of our subscriber group to do that. That's going to be like one of our premium things. So like the whole point of having a private Facebook group that you guys like pay into to like help, you know, give us the opportunity to make more content for you is to like showcase some of your stuff too. So that's part of the reason why we started this stream in the first place, was to engage more with you guys and to like start conversations. But like, we want to, you know, have part of that subscriber group, and part of the reason why you get in there is to have these like sort of like premium experiences. Like, when we get enough people in there, we can do like a live stream with just the subscribers. We can have you guys on stream to showcase your builds. We could, do like a subscriber meetup and do a drive with you guys if you're all in the area, like that kind of stuff. Like that's what we want to do. So if you want to do that, you can be part of the subscriber group, and we'll get you on stream and do stuff like that. But we want to start like blowing that out a little bit more to really like involve people that really want to like be part of it.
Yeah, and then like that's the thing. It's sort of, think of it as a way of, we throw this stuff out there. We get people I shouldn't say all the time, but I do get, at least once a month, twice, 2-3 times a month, someone reaching out, hey, do you want to do something on my car? And then halfway through it, they're just gone. Right.
Right.
We
exactly.
don't want to highlight those sort of casuals. I'm not saying that these people are casual fans, but we want to highlight the people who highlight us, who support us, and things like that.
Exactly.
So, Steve, sign up soon. Go Bills. Steve, part of Bills Mafia.
Not Go Bills. Just he's signing up soon to the group. He has bills to pay.
I'm just going to assume he's going to go quick, and because he's so excited Buffalo is winning by such a large margin, he's going to go jump through a table. So, Bills Mafia.
Yes. my neighborhood group, we do a draft of teams, and it's sort of, I think we use like the Bill Simmons method of like you get 3 teams, and then like there's whoever wins or whatever. There's points associated with it, whatever. But it's really easy because you just pick 3 teams and then the season happens. It's way better than fantasy. But one of my teams is the Titans, and I looked at the score in the middle of the stream, and I'm just like, oh, well, closing that. That's terrible.
Hey, it's only
annihilating the Titans.
It's only 40-7. Well, I mean, Derrick Henry can only do so much.
I know. Yeah, Ryan Tannehill, not exactly a great start for him.
Well, they really should have known that when he was a wide receiver at fucking Texas A&M to start his career.
Well, yeah.
But hey, speaking of college football, Penn State, big win on the plains down in Auburn. Yes. Steve gave up on football. Baby. All right, great. Thanks for making Greg right, Steve. Now I got to listen to this.
I gave up on football.
Oh my gosh. Look at it this way, Steve. Yes. It doesn't have to be anything.
If you want to sign up. Sorry, go ahead, Chad.
We don't want to showcase crazy stuff, but like an old Jeep that's being, loved.
That's cool.
And kept on the road and all that. That's like, that's cool. Like, it doesn't have to be a million horsepower, ground up, no expense spared build, because of the TV shows have kind of we've become numb to. I like unique. I like different. Hey, Steve, the Giants are 2-0. It's better than my team, Broncos. And then Christian asks, how much horsepower can you get out of your Volvo, Greg? Allow me to answer that. Not as much as the Mustang.
That is also the correct answer. I mean, there is a Volvo drag car on a 5-cylinder. I don't know if it's an R block or whatever, but it's pushing 1,300 horsepower, which is pretty bananas. But again, it's a drag car. It's like fully built.
Yeah.
So
the Polestar.
My Volvo, you can, if you did dart and sleeves on that engine, you can safely make 600 to 700 horsepower on it.
Once.
No.
And then the transmission goes bang, clatter, clatter.
No, there's a couple guys in the R community that have dart and sleeves that are making about 650, and it's totally reliable. They are still on the M66 transmission, shockingly. And
wait, hold on, back up for a second.
What?
The Polestar.
Wait, the Polestar or the V70R?
His question was, how much horsepower can you get out of your Volvo? I'm assuming he means the new.
I read that wrong. Sorry. So, the old one, you can get 600 to 650. The V70R of the P3, probably around 400. I don't know if anyone's cracked that yet because of the torque converter and because of the limitations with the transmission.
Sequential.
There's a guy. Yeah. There's a guy on.
There's this guy.
Polestar. Okay, Polestar. So there's a guy on YouTube. I forget the name of his channel. But he has a R design, which is essentially the same engine, right? It's a 6-cylinder, transversely mounted, just not the Polestar tuning or any of the Polestar upgrades, but same engine essentially. And he, I think, got it up to about 500 wheel torque and 398 wheel horsepower. And I think that's pretty much all you can do without really going bananas. And that's going to take a lot of money in R&D because
hold on.
I don't think anyone's really cracked that because the 6 cylinders have a different transmission than the 4 cylinders. The 4 cylinders got an updated 8-speed ASIN transmission, whereas
Easy swap.
What's that?
Easy swap. But hold on, go back. He's getting 500 torque and under 400 horsepower.
Yes, that engine is a torque monster, and
that's a small turbo.
Pretty much confirmed. But it's pretty much confirmed with my first dyno that I did on my car, which was bone stock.
It's the same. It was the same thing with my C30. It made more torque than horsepower until we tackled the intake side of things.
Right, and I mean, it's significant on the Polestar. Like it is 395 at the wheels, and 315 at the wheels.
What's the red line?
So 395 wheel torque, which is bananas.
So what we do is we custom build the head, titanium valve springs, sodium valves, reinforce everything, raise your red line to 8,200. And there we go. Torque over time is horsepower.
Cool. So sell all of your parts and let's do that because that's how much R&D it's going to take.
Dude, the 240 will pay for that.
Yeah, wherever the hell that is.
You need to get that back here ASAP so we can
sell it and do other things. Yes.
LS IoT swap it.
LS IoT. Yeah, I'm down for that.
That's great. I mean, so
the Polestar without going crazy with the turbo, doing torque converter craziness, upgrading the transmission. There's a trans cooler out there that one guy, Jeff, has in the forums, and also the guy that does the downpipes, Josh Briggs over at 88 Fab. He is also working on a trans cooler as well, which will drastically help because that trans overheats a lot in the 6-cylinder versions of those cars, and that's part of the problem. But the torque converter is really the biggest problem because that is holding it back from going above 500 torque, really, just to protect sort of everything. And I don't think anyone's tuned it out, or as far as I know, I haven't heard of anyone going over what this other guy did on YouTube.
Right. Well, here's the thing. So based on that, what I'm hearing is either it has a stupendously low red line, which I don't think it has. It still goes to like 65.
Yeah, I think it's 65. So,
I mean, that's, yesterday's news, 7,500, almost double the capacity, just saying.
Right.
But a lot of that has to do with how the air enters the engine and whether or not it's being accelerated or because, like, I ran into this thing with the Mustang, right? So the Coyote goes in F-150s, right? So, like, the F-150 Coyote has a little less compression but makes more torque because the intake manifold is designed in such a way with the IMRCs and stuff to accelerate air, not necessarily increase air volume, which is horsepower, but air acceleration, which helps with torque. And how you design an intake manifold also goes into that. And when I had the stock manifold on mine versus the ported manifold with the IMRC lockouts. Now, anyone who doesn't know what IMRCs are on Mustang, think of them as secondary throttle bodies. So you have the throttle body, intake manifold, and in those runners, there was a second blade that could either go wide open or fluctuate to accelerate, or basically affect air velocity. And that's how you could get low-end torque, high-end horsepower is by basically affecting the air as it goes through. So that's what, for me, that's what says is like, we need to get in there, work the heads, do a little porty port, because if you're making that much torque, we can kind of raise the horsepower. You can, with how you modify, and if the torque converter is the limiting factor, I mean, torque converters, that's, if you find the right size and spec, I don't know. I think we can get you over 600, Greg, and I'm going to make that my life's goal, just not my financial life's goal.
I'm
going to keep
super
poking
down
you
to
with
get a
it.
600 horsepower Polestar. I'm down. That'd be very sick. I think it'd be the only one in the world, actually.
Yeah, think about it. There would be nothing like it out there. You would
That's
be
true.
unique.
Very true.
You would be the guy, hey, father of two drives 10-second Volvo. I'm just saying, that sounds pretty fun. I'd click that.
Everything you're saying. Everything you're saying sounds great.
Justin goes, he's got a 63 Impala that he's working on in his free time. Send some pictures.
Nice.
Absolutely, man. Send them over. Would love to see them. Christian wants to see you get that power, so I think because Christian said it, you must make it happen.
Yes, so the only clear response is LS swap it.
I mean, frankly, the fact that you haven't done that already is a little... I mean, here's what we do.
It's concerning.
Here's what we do. I have it all figured out. It's been done. Maybe not to a Volvo, but it's been done in other cars. Trailblazer SS driveline, so you keep the all-wheel drive. Didn't think I was going there. And have an LS in it.
Cool. I'm super down for that. Do those wheelbases line up at all?
Doesn't matter. It's all...
Probably not.
You can... Wheelbase, you can affect with drive shaft.
Well, true. Yeah.
You know, the subframe, again...
You can make it happen with a Coyote. Amazing. No. This is wonderful.
This is more entertaining than us. Let's just watch Christian and Justin go at it.
I know. I'm fine with this. This is fantastic.
It's like a prep school brawl.
This is great. All I can see is like West Side Story and them just start snapping in chat.
And
LS Coyote, LS Coyote. This is great.
Oh, I love it. Yes. Keep it civil, though, guys. I don't mind the art. I did my content creator's duty.
Yes. They're good. They've been good so far, and I think they understand.
Oh, yeah, I think it's all good fun, which is the best kind of fun.
That's right.
So, we all have our weekly assignments, chat. You guys who are subscribers, hit us up in that shift posting page. Let us know what you want to talk about next week.
Shift Squad. Shift posting is a different group.
Yes, exactly what I said, which was wrong. Shift post squad. Shift squad. Why do my brain.
I know. That's fine. There's too many groups.
Cough, LS, cough, cough. Yes.
Yes, another LS.
Alrighty, and anyone who's not supporting the Coyote gets... No, I'm kidding. So, chat, head over to Shift Squad. If you're not a supporter, feel free to hop over there. If you are a supporter, hit us up. Let us know what you guys want to talk about, or interesting topics you've seen, or anything. That sort of a thing. In the meantime, Greg is going to go buy a Trailblazer SS.
Yep, totally.
Probably could get one of those for not that much money and then be like, drive it around as a winter beater and then say, all right, what am I going to put this in?
Yeah, you probably could do that.
So, and I'm going to try to find somebody who wants to do the work on the Mustang. Greg.
Good call.
Parting words of wisdom, dad advice, dad joke.
Dad joke. I don't know. I have nothing. My brain is fried. I gotta do like an hour's worth of work after this, and yeah, I got absolutely nothing. My brain is drained, and I am drained, and I just want to sleep. that's my parting word is sleep. I need it. That's it.
Never underestimate the value of a good night's sleep, chat. And with that, we will catch you next time. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, have fun out there with cars.
Have a good week, guys. Catch you later.